Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Necromaniacs horror podcast. How's it going, Mike?
What's up, man? It is going well. That's right. As Mr. Hill just said, you're listening to Necromaniacs, the horror podcast. He's Mike Hill. I'm Mike Scandato, coming at you every friggin' week on a Thursday. It is a beautiful July evening in Brooklyn, Mike. How's it over in Jersey?
Same. It was hot today, hot and humid.
Yeah.
And now it's nice.
I know, cools down a little bit, pretty cool. This is, it's birthday week, so this is kind of the birthday episode for me, Mike.
Oh, happy birthday, dude. I don't even know when your birthday was.
My birthday is coming this Friday. So by the time this gets out there, this will be the birthday episode.
You got plans to celebrate?
Yes. Going to Atlantic City for 2 nights, which should be fun. Yeah.
Oh,
Staying at
nice.
the hotel.
Hell yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Me and Stella.
AC is fun, man. I actually like going to AC.
I do too. I haven't been there since 2018, so I'm looking forward to it. I haven't been on any semblance of a vacation in a little bit either, so I'm just happy to get away for a little while. So yeah, should be fun, man. You do anything cool this weekend?
I did actually. Friday night, I went to see Night of the Living Dead screening at QXT in Newark with
Awesome.
With my friend Tina, and
Mhm.
it was really fun, man. There's I've never been to QXT. I've only been living out here in Jersey for a short period of time, and that's the spot apparently if you're into goth industrial music and sometimes metal. Like they have shows there occasionally, and sometimes like metal bands play there. And
Yeah, I was there once many moons ago. I definitely would like to go back. I keep hearing a lot of cool shit happens there, so hopefully I'll be there soon.
well, she turned me on to this place, and apparently every month there's another group that does horror movies there, and they have like a Friday night thing. The movies are at 8, and this past Friday it was Night of the Living Dead screening. Next month it's going to be White Zombie.
Oh, awesome.
And they have like a Q&A afterwards. It's not like there's this for Night of the Living Dead. They had an actress, Genevieve Rossi, who's like a B. You might know who she is. She's been in like 100 B movies, and she has some connection to George Romero. So she answered a lot of questions about the production of the film. Talked about zombies, and then talked about her career, and then was selling some of her Blu-rays and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so
Nice.
it was a lot of fun.
The other week, I don't know if I even mentioned this on the show. I put it on our Instagram, but the other week, Stella and I went to this cool place in Ridgewood, Queens, the Flying Fox.
Yeah. You told me about that. Yeah.
Yeah, which is also another horror themed spot where they show horror movies and stuff. And it's great that these things exist out there in the area, huh?
Yeah, no, totally, man. And then last night I had a late night, man. It was like, I haven't had a night like this since I don't know, in a long time. I went to Staten Island to see Engine Head and Putrescentrin play at Mother Pugs, which is a punk rock bar in Staten Island.
I played there.
Yeah, and Engine Head, of course, features Justin and Drew from Tombs playing Motorhead. It's like a Motorhead tribute band, and then Putrescentrin is a side project for Justin. Very good band, black metal sort of thing. It was their third show. I would say in that Polish style, black metal.
Okay.
Kind of like Magua, like that sort of thing.
I would dig it then. Very cool.
You 100% will dig it, and they've got some limited stuff out there, but I'll give you a bunch of their stuff, like some cassettes and stuff they have.
Nice.
Yeah, and now after that, there was not Ghost, the hard rock band, but Ghost, G-O-S-T, the electronic.
Ghost.
Yeah.
Yes.
After we hung out in Staten Island until about midnight, and then drove into Brooklyn to St. Vitus to catch the 1:30 set of Ghost.
That is a long ass night, Michael.
Oh yeah, real long night. Definitely unique night for me. I don't really stay out that late, really, But yeah, it was
Yeah,
fun. I had a good time.
that's awesome. On Friday, Stella and I went to see Left to Die, which is the Death tribute band. Death, of course, the classic Florida death metal band, which is obviously no more since the death of Chuck Schuldiner back in 2001. Yeah, it featured Terry Butler on bass, and Rick Ross on guitar, both of which were on the Leprosy record. They did the Leprosy record front to back, and they did a few songs from Scream Bloody Gore, which was cool. And they had the singer from Exhumed on vocals,
Oh,
Matt.
wow.
Yeah, and yeah, it was great. I forget who the drummer was, but whoever he was fucking great. It's at a club I was not too into. It was my first time there in Brooklyn, called Market Hotel. I don't know. I feel like it is not suited for like metal shows. It seems like a place that's more for DJ nights and parties, to be honest.
Yeah, I saw Mortician there a few months ago.
Mhm.
Definitely not my favorite spot. And yeah, I agree. It's like more like a party spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and I know that they've had tons of shows there. They have tons of shows lined up. So as they say, just because you don't like it, don't mean it ain't no good, right, Mike?
You can see the subway, like the what is that what
Is it
train
the
the M the
JMD or the M?
yeah
Yeah,
the
the
J
M.
the
Yeah,
J
yeah,
train. You can see the J train from standing inside the club. There's a big window.
yeah. And it's funny. I gotta be honest. I was like, is if you're a band playing on there, Left to Die came from Florida and California, respectively, and you've got like the train passing behind you, coming and going. Is that cool or is that not cool? Like I couldn't make up my mind as to whether or not I thought that was cool or not. And I'm a New York City native, and I'm just like, do you want to see that? Like, is that distracting or like annoying? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think I'd like that, but I
No.
can see like if you were from like like Nebraska or something, and you're like
Right,
visiting
right, right.
Brooklyn, and you're like, oh man, it's so cool. You can see the subway play behind the band playing. But for me, I don't think I want to. I'm not into that really.
Yeah, put a curtain there. No, put something there. Close it up. Like, I don't know. Just
Yeah.
one of those weird things. And the sound was not very good. The speaker system was not very good. I mean, look, I'm a musician myself. These are things I notice. Um,
Yeah, it's like a practice space PA, and I have to say, the place that you guys played at had a way better PA system, and it was a smaller venue. I would say probably as far as like
yeah,
capacity goes.
Bowery Electric. No, Bowery Electric's great. Downstairs room, and they even have shows upstairs. There's a room in the back upstairs. I mean, no, they have a fine sound system. In Human, we have, I believe, some of the board mix from the show that got to take a listen to. But yeah, no, man, that's a great room. But you know what? I feel like there's so much happening, Mike. I mean, like Voivod played this club a few weeks ago, and it's like people are like, well, why did they play this club, or that club? And I'm like, because there's too many fucking shows, man. There's too many bands on tour. I feel like, which hey, it's great. It's been a long 2 years, right? But
Yeah,
now you're seeing how it's problematic. Would you agree?
I can agree because of my firsthand experience with that. The
Yes.
last,
Yes. Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, definitely, man. Like it's great that everyone's out there, but like tours sometimes roll through these smaller towns, like places like El Paso or Mesa,
Mm.
Arizona. And if there's like 5 shows at the same venue in the same week, roughly in the same genre, that not everyone is going to be able to go to all 5 of those shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Brooklyn in particular, especially the neighborhoods like, Bushwick, Greenpoint, Williamsburg, I've lost track of the number of new clubs that there are. And a lot of them have the word Brooklyn in their name. And it's kind of hilarious. But again, it's kind of like confusing, you know? Um, again, it's better than no club. Don't get me wrong, but I almost wish these things were a little bit more spread out. Like they're kind of all on top of each other, you know?
Well, in Bushwick, you got Brooklyn Steel,
Mm-hmm.
right? You got Brooklyn Monarch.
Mm-hmm.
You got Meadows,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's another one I'm forgetting about too, and they're all basically on the same street.
Market Hotel, and there's another one with Brooklyn Made
Brooklyn Made, yep,
elsewhere. I mean, this is a lot.
yeah, and
And
they're
then
all in the same neighborhood
this is
basically.
a lot. Like, and then you have not too far away your St. Vitus, not too far away your Warsaw. There's a lot going on. None of this is in South Brooklyn. None of this is even, like Park Slope needs another venue or two. I feel like in there, there's not a lot there.
Well, it's Lucky
Um,
13, which is
yeah, that's literally one of the only places though.
yeah.
But there's nothing below that in all of Brooklyn. Like there's a huge chunk of Brooklyn completely underserved, is what I'm saying. Hmm.
But much to my disappointment, Miss Katie Irizarry was supposed to make an appearance at
Uh-huh.
the Engine Head show, but she did not show up, and we were all disappointed.
Uh-huh. Well, Katie, hopefully she'll make it to the next one, as they say.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. um, the thing is, man, again, we're both musicians, and these are not complaints. These are mere observations, I feel like,
Yeah.
I guess the more clubs, the merrier. As long as they're booking cool shit.
Yeah.
We cannot forget the plugs, Mike Hill. We have our friends, our brothers in arms that we give plugs to every week, right?
Yeah, we cover you guys from Monday through Friday. So the entire week, if you just come to these shows, provide excellent entertainment Monday through Friday.
On Monday, we have none other than Brandon Legion's Horror Wolf 666 podcast. On Tuesday, who do we got, Mike Hill?
We have Into the Necrosphere featuring Jackie Smith.
On Wednesday, we have Mike Hill's own Everything Went Black podcast.
That's kind of where it all started, really. I mean, even this, the very
That's
first
true.
episode of Everything Went Black was me and you.
That's true. That was the genesis, the nucleus of Necromaniacs podcast. On Thursday is Necromaniacs podcast.
That's right.
And on Friday is Break the Apocalypse podcast. How funny is that?
Featuring your
pretty funny.
brother, John
Yeah,
Draper.
yeah. He's my brother. We're related. We just have different last names. That's all. We're related.
Do you check out any movies or anything like that, Mike?
You know what? I have not checked out many movies this week. It's been a week of reading. I am plowing through my beautiful hardcover volume 1 of Tomb of Dracula. I've acquired a few more Savage Sword of Conan collections.
Nice.
I have acquired a few more Tomb of Dracula and Werewolf by Night comics. Yeah, I haven't had the chance to really kind of plunk down and watch a movie other than the movie we're watching tonight. What about you?
I haven't really. This past week was very, very busy for me, and I barely read anything. Like I'm in the middle of reading that book, The Deep, I was talking about by Nick Cutter, and I'm like halfway through with it. But I read all of like another 100 pages today, and I didn't read anything all week. But movie wise, I watched a movie again that you and I have talked about in the past, and I'm going to put this down on the table as maybe the next thing you and I do.
Okay.
The God Told Me To,
Ah, yes.
which is on
Yeah,
Shudder, and
Mhm.
it's an excellent film.
Yeah, that's a creepy, weird ass movie, huh?
Yeah,
I think we should cover it. I think it would serve the show and listeners well. I think so, Mike.
it's got
Hmm.
a young Tony LoBianco in it.
Mm-hmm.
Takes place in New York City.
Yes, that's right. That's
Yes.
right. Film
And
in New York.
it's from that halcyon days of the late 70s. With
Mhm.
like very realism is like a thing. The actors look like people you'd see on the street. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. Yeah, yeah. No, see, now I haven't seen that movie in a in a minute. So again, it'll feel like one of those brand new watches. So I'll definitely peep it again, and we will get it out to you listeners. How about that? Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hidden gem, I think.
Hmm. No, I think so too, man.
Yeah.
But tonight we decided to go back to the 70s. We did a cool little movie from 1980 not long ago, which the episode seems to have been a bit of a hit, Mike Hill, the Without Warning episode. The listeners enjoyed it, it seems.
Yeah, yeah, got some good feedback on it for sure.
Yes, yes. We're going back to Italy. Everyone, pack your bags, get on the plane. We're going back to 75, actually, Mike Hill. Rome, Italy. A little movie called The Suspicious Death of a Minor, directed by our old friend Sergio Martino.
Well, as longtime listeners know, Mike and I are fans of Giallo films. And this is an interesting one because it's a sort of combo of a Giallo and the Italian police procedural film.
Yeah, Italian crime, which
Italian
was
crime.
which it's funny because by about 75, the Italian crime Politecchi movies, and I completely mispronounced that, by the way, had kind of taken the place of the Giallo, actually. So it almost kind of makes sense that this late era Giallo from Mr. Martino mixes the burgeoning, Italo-Euro crime. So it's kind of kissing cousins, as they say,
And also something that's absent from a lot of the Giallo films that's present in the Italian crime films is a little bit of the humorous stuff.
Yes. This movie has some humor. It is dark subject matter, definitely.
Very dark, yeah.
The plot is pretty heavy plot, actually, but it is not short on crime, and it is crime on comedy and crime, and it is not short on, like both, comic relief and, with a kind of a heavy, dark story, Mike, right?
Definitely. I mean, it deals with trafficking of underage girls, as the the title implies. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Child trafficking. Mm-hmm. And, before getting too really into it, it unweaves a bunch of webs and layers, right? Which
Yeah.
is also really cool. You're wondering where it's all kind of leading, and it's a little surprising as to where it goes. But yeah, we will discuss it. Yeah, if you're somewhat of a long-time listener, or at least a listener within the last 6 to 12 months, you'll know that we've covered several Sergio Martino movies already on the show. We like to put him up there in the big four. The big four of Italian directors being Mario Bava, Dario Argento, Lucio Fulci, and our very own Mr. Sergio Martino. Would you agree, Mike?
I agree. And I would add like the testament of the big four. You know how like Testament's not actually one of the big four, but they're like
Yes. Who's your testament pick?
Michele Suavi. Michele Suavi
Yes,
is like
that's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's go. I would put him in there. Hell yeah. He's our testament Exodus pick.
Yeah.
Only the metalheads know what the hell we're talking about. But although, maybe not, I feel like at this point with the term Big Four and bands like Testament and Exodus, you don't have to be a major metalhead to know what the hell we are saying. But interesting thing about this movie, it is Martino's sixth and final Gialli. First being Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward in 71, which we covered. Released the same year in 71, The Case of the Scorpion's Tail, which is another cool movie. 72, he does Your Vice is a Locked Room and Only I Have the Key, featured right here on Necromaniacs podcast. 1972, again, 2 in 1 year, the excellent All the Colors of the Dark. 73, he gets a bit darker with the Torso film. You like the movie Torso, Mike?
Yeah, that's good, man. It's not one of his better films, but I still enjoy it though.
Yeah, I don't like it as much as the four others, to be honest, but it's actually very popular. And lastly, he caps his giallos, not his films. He does many other films after this one, with The Suspicious Death of a Minor in 1975. Another great fucking title, right? Cool title.
Yeah, definitely. And after his run with Giallo, he got into these kind of like post-apocalyptic films.
Yeah, he sure did.
Yeah.
um, and we'll talk about one of the last post-apocalyptic kind of ones he did in a minute because it ties into this movie in a rather sad way. Um, This movie was released August 12th, 1975 in Italy. It was also titled Too Young to Die in certain parts of the world. As Mike Hill said, it mixes giallo with Italian crime. The screenplay was by both Sergio Martino and the ever-loving Ernesto Gastaldi, who, if you look him up on, Wikipedia, IMDb, he's written, I don't know, 100 movies, and about 80% of them are well-known giallo and horror films. Amazing screenplay writer. He also did the story for this one, produced by Luciano Martino, Sergio's brother, who we've talked about before on the show as well. The film stars Claudio Casanelli, who actually fantastic actor, I thought. What did you think?
Yeah, he was great because he had a pretty wide variety of emotions that he had to portray in this movie, which I thought was really cool.
No, yeah, totally. We're definitely going to get into the plot on this. And just so you know, the movie is, I don't know, almost 50 years old. So, yes, there will be spoilers. Also stars Leah Tanzi as Carmela, Patrizia Castaldi as Marissa, Mel Ferrer as the police superintendent. Um, okay, very cool. This movie features not one, but two women who would go on 2 years later to be in Dario Argento's Suspiria. How about that, Michael?
Yeah, I remember we were talking. I didn't pick him out though. Like I didn't
Okay.
when I was watching the film, I did not recognize him. I have to admit that.
Yeah, and they are Barbara Magnofili, who plays Floriana in this film. She, of course, plays Olga in Suspiria, one of the girls at the ballet school who really gives Susie Banyan a lot of shit. Um, Very pretty, dark-haired actress. She has a cool role in Suspiria. And Franca Scagnetti, who played the cook in Suspiria, that very scary woman who, like, the moment you see her, it's like, oh yeah, she's a witch. Like she's like, very strong features. In this film, she plays the character Giannino's mother, more of a comic relief character in this role, but definitely plays a very kind of like ominous presence. Brief presence though in Suspiria.
And
Um,
Giannino is played by Adolfo Caruso, and
that is correct.
yeah, he's like the comedic sidekick in this film.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. Um, Another very interesting, solid performance. While I didn't look him up too much, I wouldn't be surprised if he had quite a few of the Italian comedies of that era under his belt, huh?
yeah, I could see that.
That was another thing that was kind of happening around the same time as this, the Italian sex comedy thing. But of note, this movie, while it does mix the, Italo crime with the Giallo, this movie, while it has some nudity, not as nearly as much nudity as most Giallo, this movie does not have a single sex scene in it, Mike.
Yeah, I picked up on that too. Like there,
Yeah.
and the nudity was sort of brief and very non-gratuitous. I would have to add.
Mhm. Whereas most of honestly Martino's giallos are kind of loaded with sex and nudity. Honestly, oh, they're very sexy movies. Like Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward is a very sexy film loaded with lots of sex and All the Colors of the Dark, and Your Vice is a Locked Room has like the crazy thing with the mom, and there's a lot going on there. This movie, again, a hard tone, but not gratuitous. No.
Yeah, it's more of the actual story itself, and maybe that's why because we're supposed to be dealing with young women, like very like girls basically. Maybe that's why
Yes.
they shied away from the gratuitous sex scenes and nudity scenes, even though these quote unquote minors all look
Mhm.
like they're about 30 years old. So
Yes, they look about 30, but they're supposed to be teenagers. That's the interesting part, Mike. Yes, exactly.
yeah,
They're supposed to be under 18. Yeah, they do. They look definitely mid late 20s. So yeah, or maybe 30. But that was just kind of how it went sometimes, I think, in 1975. That was just life. Um, Rough plot summary here. Police detective Paolo Germi, played by Claudio Casanelli, and the mysterious Marissa meet each other at a dance hall. Jeremy is unaware of the secret that Marissa carries with her, adverse conditions in her life that have forced her into prostitution. As Jeremy finds the young girl brutally murdered, he decides to go after the killers. During his investigation, he enters a world of intrigue and obfuscation that leave an endless trail of blood. Um, okay, I don't know if I'll agree with that endless trail of blood. It leaves, there's a few bodies in this movie. I wouldn't say it's a tremendously high body count, but to me, again, this movie is more about what you uncover as you're watching it and what Paolo uncovers as well. No, what was really interesting, I thought, was that it doesn't dawn on you that he's a cop for a good 15, 20 minutes into the movie, right?
yeah. He's like this sort of sleazy, like low level criminal, because he's driving around this like there's these two recurring themes in the film, like the crappiness of his car, right?
Yes.
Like the
And that
door
his
doesn't work,
glasses are always breaking.
and his
Yes,
glasses, he always
yes,
has cracked glasses, and that actually this is an interesting plot device
yes,
that
it
the
is.
quality, the cracked glasses played throughout the entire movie until he actually gets a new pair of glasses, and that
That's right.
coincides with a very big plot development.
Yeah, I have some questions about towards that, that whole ending moment. But anyway, what I thought was interesting is that it almost just initially seemed like he was a guy trying to pick up a girl and kind of strikes out, basically, you know. Um, and then, and the girl kind of runs away. The girl is being pursued by a killer. Um, and then yeah, it was almost like, oh, he's a cop. Like I thought he was just some kind of schleppy guy. Like it was just, you know what I'm saying? Like I thought that was a nice little way of like teasing the audience for a little while. I thought.
And in that opening scene, you really get that Giallo style. Like you get suave Italian dudes, beautiful Italian women. Everyone's like
Hmm.
smoking cigarettes and drinking
Yeah.
wine, and
Hmm.
guy with sunglasses on, menacing, very sketchy looking character
Oh
following a
yeah.
woman. It's
It's
all
sick.
there. All those elements are there right in that first scene.
But what is a non-giallo trait in a way was that we see the killer's face. We know who
Yes,
the killer is.
we do.
So that is actually not the mystery here. Um, the mystery is why the girl Marissa was killed. That is the mystery, and who she was. Those are really the mysteries, right?
Yeah, it's like an interesting inversion of the style. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And that's one of the things I really liked about this movie is that it just didn't follow the trajectory of your typical giallo film where you're not sure who the killer is. It's like an inversion of that whole, context to that story, which I thought was really cool.
I almost feel like I have seen other gialli that have done that before, where they do show you the killer, and like there's like other layers later on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I'd have to really think about what that was, unless this is one of the extremely rare instances where it just kind of puts it right in your face. But I think part of the reason it does that too is again because it is also a police film and you know what I'm saying? It's like a police drama slash giallo. Like there's a lot more kind of going on, right?
That's right.
Um, Something I definitely wanted to bring up about this movie was the score. Really strong, beautiful soundtrack by Luciano Michelini. And much to my surprise and enjoyment, it came out on vinyl in 2020, and you can get it now actually from the Four Flies label, this cool Italian label that does a lot of old soundtrack stuff and new music as well. So I'm definitely going to hunt that down. But what stood out about the soundtrack is that it sounds a lot like the theme from Deep Red by Goblin, Mike Hill. Did you think so?
Yeah, we were discussing that, and I thought that it was definitely like this kind of deep red vibe to it, you know. And
Yeah,
I agree with you. I'm going to try to pick that up, man. I really
Mhm.
enjoyed the score for this movie.
Yeah. Aside from the main theme, which definitely is inspired by Deep Red, there's no way around it. Listeners, the moment you hear it as you're watching the movie in the beginning, you're going to be like, "Oh, okay." It's that kind of bass line, the drums, the keys. It's super informed by the theme from Deep Red. Um, and there's literally something which really took me by surprise about three-fourths into the film was a complete nod to a kill scene in Deep Red. But the thing is, though, okay, this is 1975, comes out in, let's see, was that August or whatever? Yeah, in August of 75. Deep Red also comes out in 75, which means these movies might have been also filmed in 74 or maybe very early 75. Um, it's kind of like a rip of a kill scene, the very first kill scene in Deep Red, where the woman is in the window and the killer kills her in the window and the glass breaks and there's someone who witnesses out on the street.
Oh, the murder of the landlady. Yes.
Yes, yes. Um, super, super similar. Like the kill scene of the psychic in the beginning of Deep Red, and there's a kill scene in this movie of the very heavy woman, the landlady of this very sketch hotel. Yes. So listeners, when you see that, if you think that one might have ripped the other off, it is very possible. I think so. I have a funny feeling the Dario one might have came first, but hey, could be wrong, or it could be completely coincidental, right?
Um, it's hard to say. It's hard to really say that it was incidental. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like I think that similar to like when music. There's only
Hmm.
12 notes. You know what I mean?
Right,
You're
right,
creating.
true.
You're working within this style, and of course you're going to be influenced by certain things.
Hmm.
That type of scene is very effective. And
Yeah,
it kind of it's important. It's a plot device, and I wouldn't say that. I don't think it was incidental. I think it was, and also he's referencing like one of the probably more popular of those films.
no, totally, totally. But who knows? I mean, I always felt that Martino has had and has a style all of his own. You know what I'm saying? All of
Yeah.
his movies, I don't think mimic. I mean, the only mimicry of Argento movies is the fact that they're all Giallo films. Dario, you know, reignites the genre in '69 with Bird of Crystal Plumage, and Strange Vice, comes out in '71. I mean, look, yeah, there's probably some mild inspiration, but I always felt that Martino had his own flair and his own style. So, it's like black metal bands who play a certain particular style of black metal. Yes, there's that one that, came a little before the other one. But then there's this really cool one that just came out 2 years after that guy. And maybe their sounds are a little similar, but they're two completely different bands. You
I,
know,
I agree with that sentiment.
yeah.
Definitely.
It's in other words, it's all good.
Yeah.
It's all fine, and they're fun fucking movies. They're good movies. Um, Back to the plot of the film. Okay, so we have a very young girl who has been murdered. And yes, like I said before, lo and behold, Paolo is a policeman. He's not just some guy looking to pick up chicks in the middle of the day, which was, again, what I thought at the very beginning of the movie. And I go, oh, how about that? He's a cop.
Well, also
Um,
there's a lot of scenes of him. Like you really get the sense that this dude might be a criminal, or he's doing criminal activities.
okay, all right. I would not say criminal. I would say he's a cop who takes his job very seriously, but maybe too seriously because he does what I call the extra work.
Okay.
Like the I'm gonna fucking solve this case if it kills me. Uh, I'm gonna put my fucking badge in the glove compartment and just act like a fucking asshole to get the answers that I want to get. Like, so yeah, it is kind of criminal. I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't call him a bad cop though. How about that? I would call him a very aggressive cop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he's
Definitely that.
not, it's not Bad Lieutenant, is what
He's
I'm
not
saying.
playing by the book.
Right, 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 right. But you know what though? I mean, in a way, with what he's up against, he kind of has to do this, I feel like.
Well, there's a scene where he's with the commissioner, and they're
Hmm.
talking about how he's like this kind of almost like a special ops guy
Right.
because the families when their daughters are kidnapped, in order for the kidnapper to not think that they're dealing with the police, they kind of operate like clandestinely. You know what I mean? Like he's like this
Mm.
deep undercover kind of guy.
Yes, undercover. Exactly. He is like a deep undercover kind of guy. Um, and yeah, and it's you almost kind of. I guess I don't know. I felt like I wrote some notes saying like I almost felt bad for him several times in the movie. You know,
He's
because it
definitely
doesn't seem like
sympathetic. Like you definitely
sympathetic. Yeah.
sympathize with him. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
He doesn't. I mean, he does. He's not a married man. He's not a man with children. He's not that old. He's young. He doesn't look that old. Um, and he, he wants to get to the bottom of this murder, and he's running into all these obstacles and cover-ups and just a lot of weird shit. Again, as I've said before, with many really good Giallo films, I feel like this plot would work very well in a modern film. This plot. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a very compelling plot. I mean, if you think about it, it's like the obsessed cop operating somewhat being flexible with the
Hmm.
rules of
Yeah.
and like not playing by the book.
Right.
That's like a almost like an archetype in like crime
Oh
films.
no, yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's again, it's nothing new, but again, like what he uncovers is like is the more is would be the oh my goodness part of the movie. You know what I'm saying? Like the oh
Yeah.
look who's behind it. Um, yeah. I mean, the movie gets more okay once this murder has taken place. I feel like uh the giallo-ness obviously takes the back seat to the Italian crime aspect, right? It's really more about solving the case, whether or not, I mean, than not, okay, who do you think the murderer is? We know who the murderer is. It's this like thuggy blonde guy with glasses.
Yeah. And it's like and that guy is very giallo, you know.
Yeah, oh, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
he looks cool. And you know what I'm saying? It's like, he's not in a lot of the movie, but when he's in the movie, it's like, fucking cool and hard and heavy. Um, yeah, so we meet other people, like other people, police, and as he's going on the cover, he's kind of like unraveling this organization, right? That has ties to an Italian bank, and basically, the long and short of it is that there are people in power, surprise, surprise, who are behind this child trafficking ring, right, Mike?
That's right.
And he's kind of trying to, once he gets the information, I feel like his superiors aren't really taking him seriously and they're not believing him. And then to me, there was a scene where before the movie ended, I almost thought it was going to go all the way up the chain to the police. Did you think so?
I don't know if I would have went that far. I thought it was going to stay within because like there's the tendency to have like the kind of like rich corporate types as
Yeah.
always being portrayed as the bad guys. So I thought it was going to stay within that corporation realm.
The reason I thought that was because one of his superiors was so intent on kind of like, this is crazy and this is science fiction. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like science fiction and, you're out of line. And like, I don't know, I almost thought that maybe that one particular guy, lieutenant or whatever he was, police chief, might have been involved. But lo and behold, he was not. So yeah, it was almost felt like a weird tease in a way. No?
Yeah, and but I think because of the guy's unorthodox obsessions it might have lent itself to the his boss not really believing him.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's you have the standard, kidnapping tropes, but they get kind of like intertwined with like the trafficking aspect and the cover-ups and the people in power. And I don't know, I think all of this just kind of works really well for a movie that, according to Gastaldi, is a lesser film.
Yeah, I caught that too when I was doing some of the research for this, and I was like, yeah, I wouldn't. It's unfortunate that he felt that way about it because I don't see it that way. I think it's equal to all the other films that
Yeah,
Martino
I
did.
mean, I don't look, is it as, I don't know if it's as great as a few of the other Martino films we've covered, like, Your Vice and Strange Vice. Um, but it's different. And I appreciate how different it is from those movies and how it doesn't rely on all the same things and it goes to different places. And that it was just, I thought, really enjoyable. And again, I thought the music was cool. I thought it had just kind of like this cool kind of vibe to it. And Claudio Castanelli's performance, I thought was really cool and believable and intense. Um, there's this scene in the middle of the movie that is just pure mid 70s Italian comedic car chase. Like you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've seen
Yeah,
the movie.
yeah, for sure.
Um, I guess that was the one scene that really takes you out of everything. But again, I feel like it was intended to do that. Um, but that was like the one of the things I didn't like about the movie. But I guess ultimately I'm like, you know what? Whatever. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I just thought it was a
I
little
didn't mind
silly.
that because there already was like some comedy in the film. A sidekick is like
Yeah.
a comedic element to it. Of course, I'm referring to Giannino. He's like
Yeah.
funny. He has his he plays he saves his life at one point of the film.
Yeah. The Genie character is like a thief who kind of like becomes the sidekick to Paolo.
Yeah,
And they're kind of solving this case together, basically.
yeah, working together.
Working together. Yeah, yeah, they're working together. And I have to say, man, wow. Again, spoilers, the movie's 50 years old. But we do want you to watch it. The scene where he meets his demise along with the other girl on the scooter, the bomb, that was a big bum out for me. I was really bummed.
I was bummed that they
Yeah,
took him out because I was really starting to like Giannino.
yeah. And also there was not like I looked at how much was left of the film and I'm like, okay, it's going to wrap up where we get the big heavy and blah blah blah, but no, we're going to also take a few characters out before, like I was like, oh shit.
Now, there's a scene in the film that involves Giannino and a movie theater,
Hmm.
and maybe some of you fans out there that are very perceptive might know what this movie was, but Mike and I couldn't figure out what film they were watching. So there's a scene they're meeting the young lady in a movie theater, Paolo and Giannino, and there's a poster of the film that looks very familiar to me. Okay,
Hmm.
I tried to find the poster online, and I could not identify what giallo or crime film they were seeing, but it's clearly an existing movie that exists within this genre. And
Yeah,
I cannot,
mhm.
for the life of me, determine what film that was.
I'm gonna. It's definitely they're watching a modern movie. It's 1974, 75 in the theater. They're definitely watching something that does exist. It would be interesting if they were watching an actual, just a Sergio Martino film, which it actually could be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, I just, again, in my research, I couldn't find what they were watching either. If any listeners can figure out what movie they are watching in the movie within a movie scene of Suspicious Death of a Minor, please let us know via our Instagram page, right, Mike?
Yeah, I'm so curious about it because like it's just I don't know. It was a deliberate kind of thing, you know.
Mm, yeah, that was a cool scene too. Um, Again, right, that's right towards the end where they kind of lure the killer in, so to speak. Um, but they actually managed to kill the killer. The killer dies. He falls to his death in this kind of a tense scene on a rooftop of the movie theater or whatever. Uh, wasn't it odd that a movie theater had a reclining like ceiling? Like, did you notice that?
Yeah, yeah, it was odd.
Is that like a thing in Europe? I
It
didn't
might
never
be.
heard of it.
It might be.
Might be. Who knows? But anyway, yes. But after that, like you think you're kind of safe and that the movie is done, but obviously the movie is not done because we kind of find exactly just who is behind the sex trade, child trafficking ring, right, Mike?
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, there's that horrible scene where the girl gets the package and she goes on the scooter and they both get taken out, they both die, and I just feel like at that point, um, you know, Claudio Castanelli's character is kind of like left with nothing but basically this case and solving it and putting it to bed. But of course, we have to mention the fact that leading up to that, he kind of does like I don't know now, was it like a mock quitting or did he really quit?
I took it as he actually quit.
Yeah. But he quits because he gets paid this large amount of money to be quieted by the man behind, this whole fucking horrible situation. Um, but at the very end, though, you notice that he rips up the check. Did you see that part? Like,
Yes, yeah, I
we,
did. So
yeah, exactly. Okay, that's what I thought.
yeah, no, it didn't have that cynical of an ending where this guy that you've been rooting for just like sells out like that. No, I was, you know,
No, no,
that
no.
did not
Yeah, I
happen.
mean, that would be super kind of dark and weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, at that point, I actually thought that maybe, Paolo would just be like, okay, I quit, I take the money, but I'm just going to go on my own terms and finish this case, which is basically what he does. But before that, his friend gets killed and he's in a hospital and he talks to one of the other policemen. And it's like implied that like, oh, I'm back in basically, that's what I thought.
Yeah, yeah. But
Because
it built some drama. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, so we basically find out now. The thing that I'm having trouble remembering is that the man behind all of this was that an uncle of the murdered girl.
Yeah, it was an
It
uncle.
was the uncle. Yes, it was an uncle. So there is also, an incest angle here on top of the, you know, child trafficking angle. But again, it's not. I mean, I've seen the word sleazy used in reviews of this film, but in my opinion, I didn't find this movie to be overly sleazy. Did you?
No, because like we said earlier, there's no overt nudity. There's a couple of scenes, but nothing crazy. Nothing, especially
Hmm.
for an Italian film, and
Yeah.
no sex scenes, which
Hmm.
that would have made it sleazy if you have
Right.
these alleged underage girls with sex scenes, even though these women are all late 20s, clearly.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
not. They don't look like young girls at all. So, we have to use. They're taking license with that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
say this is overly sleazy, though. I wouldn't say it.
No, not at
Yeah.
all. And it's barely exploitative, actually. Like it's not even, you know, I don't know. Again, I felt like it's for the subject matter, it's actually handled rather, I don't know if I'd use the word delicately, but it's handled properly, is what
Yeah,
I'll say.
I would
Right?
agree. I would agree with that.
Almost TV movie-esque, with maybe European TV movie-esque, I felt like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
because there was some nudity. Yeah, which Europeans
which
are a
is
little more
okay over
free to
there.
that. Yeah, free to
Right,
that.
exactly, exactly, exactly. Um, So yeah, like I said, spoiler alert. He ends up killing the uncle. He shoots him basically. There's this scene on like a train where a car is he's with his driver on a train. Like what is it? Like one of those things where they transport the car on the train instead of driving the car.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, there's this shootout. And he gets the bad guy. Is basically what happens. Um, but not not at quite a bit of a loss because he loses his friend, and he himself is also shot. So it almost leaves it a bit like ambiguous as to his own fate, right?
I want to believe that he survives.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Um, Thought it was a cool ending, you know. But getting back to what I alluded to earlier about the actor himself, Claudio Casanelli, um, he would go on about 10 years later to be in another Sergio Martino film called Hands of Steel. That's the American title of the film, which apparently was shot in Arizona. Uh, Sadly, during the filming of this movie, there were some scenes being shot at the Grand Canyon in the town of Arascanti. Uh, and in basically, there was a helicopter crash on the Navajo Bridge, and actor Claudio Castanelli died on the set while making this movie with Sergio Martino. Isn't that bizarre?
Bizarre and sad.
Yes,
Yeah.
right? I believe those are the only two movies that they did together. This movie does come out, Hands of Steel. You can watch it, you can see it. It's the post-apocalyptic Blade Runner, Terminator, Escape from New Yorky kind of style that was quite popular once upon a time. Um, but yeah, it makes me want to see this movie, to be honest. Uh, but yeah, it is kind of like a sad ending because he wasn't even really that old of a guy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Hands of Steel is might be on the Arrow app.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was 46 when he died, July 13th, 1985,
Young
in
man.
Arizona. Wow. He left behind three children. Hmm. Crazy, crazy. Rest in peace, Mr. Casanelli. Damn. Also around 74, he was in What Have They Done to Your Daughters, which apparently is, yes, a movie that mixes Giallo and Italian crime, directed by Massimo Dallamano. It's a movie that I've always wanted to see, actually. It wasn't available till recently, actually. You can see it now. He is also in Great Alligator River, Mountain of the Cannibal God. He's in Hercules, the 1983 film
Oh yeah,
Hercules,
I remember that one. Yep.
directed by Luigi Cosi and starring Lou Ferrigno. He plays Zeus. He's in Lucio Fulci's Murder Rock from 1984, which is that Flash Dancy-esque Fulci movie. Uh, yeah, not a great movie. Yeah, he's did a bunch of stuff in the 70s, right up until his death in 1985. Man, unbelievable.
Mountain of the Cannibal God is
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of a classic film. Like that's like a like
Yeah, it's a
part of that
jungle.
the
Mhm.
jungle cannibal genre.
Yes, it's got Stacy Keach in it. So yeah, who doesn't like Stacy Keach? Also directed, I'm sorry, by Martino, which would make a third film that he did with Martino. So yeah. I've said it before, not a tremendous fan of that genre. So it's funny, I know the names of all those movies, but I've only seen a few of those movies, Cannibal Holocaust, Cannibal Pharaoh, and maybe like one or two others. But there's obviously a lot more than that.
Cannibal
Not my favorite.
Holocaust. That's
Yeah.
the kind of only one you really got to see, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's your Godfather. That's your Godfather of Goodfellas Godfather of the cannibal genre. Would you agree?
I agree. I agree with that. If you put it that way, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're gonna put it that way, right. If there's gonna be one to watch, it's probably that one. It's definitely that one. Let me put that to right there. But what would you give our film of the evening?
I give this one a strong 4 out of 5.
Yes. You know what? So did I. I gave it a 4 or 5. I was going to do 3.5, but I decided on a 4. Mainly because I think I just enjoyed it. I don't know. Like, I found it to be very enjoyable. Certain Giallo films, I feel like, I don't know, a lot of them have midsections that are a bit of a drag. And I thought this movie just kind of flowed well. And it was just a cool movie to watch.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun movie to watch. Quality. I'm a fan of Martino's work. And yeah. So, I mean, actually, you know what? I think on Arrow, I'm looking right now, the Sergio Martino collection is on sale. So any
nice.
Any of you listeners out there want to get a hard copy, the collection includes this film, actually.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie was hard to come by only until a couple of years ago when Arrow put it out on Blu-ray. It was, aside from the gray markets, it never had any kind of U.S. DVD release or anything like that. So glad you can fucking check it out now. There is also, the only thing is by the time listeners hear it, it'll be over. There's this big sale over at Kino Lorber, who does sales all the time, actually, which is great. They have tons of great shit on Blu-ray. And Barnes & Noble just wrapped up a killer Criterion Blu-ray sale, Mike.
Oh, dude, I gotta get on board. I never think to look at Barnes & Noble for stuff like that.
Yeah, 50% off. I grabbed Scanners on Blu-ray, which I didn't have, and I grabbed Videodrome on Blu-ray.
Oh, wow.
Criterions, yeah.
And that sale's over with now, right?
Yeah, think so.
All right, I'll check
but they do it a few times a year. That's the cool thing. I feel like it's a good time to be a buyer right now. Prices are good from like your bigger outlets, your Barnes and Noble and like your big distribution companies like Kino Lorber, and they want to move that fucking product. So yeah. But Mike Hill, this comes to the end of tonight's Necromaniacs.
Yeah, no, for a while we were doing a lot of these Giallos. Gialli, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would like to get back on that. There's a whole like variety of these films that we can talk about. Maybe do one a month, maybe.
I'm cool with that. What spiked this one, listeners, is the fact that Shudder now has it on their service. So check it out on Shudder. They also dropped a few other really cool films that they haven't had before, like Who Saw Her Die, which is actually a really solid Giallo. Featuring Mr. 007 himself, George Lazenby, Michael.
That was definitely another one we talked about doing, so we should check that one out too, for sure.
And that always reminded me of the very cool Dismember song called I Saw You Die. Instead, the movie's called Who Saw Her Die, and their song is I Saw You Die. It always makes me think of Dismember, that movie. I don't know why. Yeah. But that'll wrap it up. Thank you all, new listeners and old. You can check us out on Facebook, Necromaniacs Podcast. You can check us out on Instagram, also under Necromaniacs Podcast. Right, Mike?
That's correct. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Take care.
Cheers, everybody.
Oh, girl. Turn me on. Yeah. You know how. Oh, touch me soft. Oh, girl. Turn me on. turn me on. Don't touch me soft. Oh girl. Yeah. Oh girl. Oh, turn me on. Oh, turn me on. Oh, girl. Yeah. Turn me on. Oh, girl. Don't touch me soft. Oh, you know how. Oh, yeah. Oh, girl. Oh, girl. Yeah. Oh, come on. Yeah. Oh, boy. Oh, girl. Oh, girl. Oh, girl.